Hey everyone. Yeah, I thought I'd come on here and give you another review of the 236 shift slash chapter of Metamorphosized to Malleability, done by Desi Arts, that's Dezzzie Arts, aka Michelle. She posted this about 5 hours ago, which was 6:25 p.m. Pacific time, Pacific Daylight Standard Time. And the title of this is called Full Bloom, and it basically takes place immediately after to the ending of 235. Basically, to catch you up to date here, Briella, after going through what she did consider some of the more realistic avenues that she could take, that her other self, this entity, this Mimi, that was basically more along the lines of a child extension of her childhood. Basically, someone that, even though they look like an adult, didn't fully mature to the point that they could grasp the fact that things have changed, and that even though Briella is having fun, and enjoying herself with these powers, sharing them with her friends, sharing them with her fiance, that there are more important things in life for her to focus on. Anyway, like I said, Briella thought about some of the things that were more realistic, and one of them, of course, was to spend at least a week as a plant, or as an impatence, as it's called. And she did this by basically going to a mom and pop store and getting what she needed: soil, cremeric pot, or something like that. I think that's what it's called, cremeric pot, planting pot, if you will. And, as well as, I think, a little shovel, a little garden shovel. And she basically shrunk herself down to the size of a seedling. And her fiance Crystal was informed that she had something special for her when she got to do, or to take part in, when she came home. So Crystal comes home and she notices, the pot, the planting pot, the soil, and the little seed that is her fiance, Briella. And she pretty much gets the idea of, okay, you want to basically, live out, at least one experience of being a plant. Basically live out, a week of existence as a plant. Just go, full on, if you will. So, long story short, that's where the new shift, the new chapter 236, resumes. Basically, Briella is nestling into her temporary home within the soil in the pot. And she is, aware of what's going on, but only by sound. But only by sound. And basically, she is just, like I said, she's relaxing in her new plane of existence, temporarily, where she's overviewing, in her mind, her plan to create a facsimile of an impotence, sprouting from seed to full bloom. And that, taking the information she gathered that morning, she put a simple schedule in place to finish her maturation in 5 days, leaving her two to simply bask in stillness. In other words, like I said, she's going a whole week doing this, and she's just, taking the first 2 of the 7 days, from what I understand, to, simply bask in just being a seed, just bask in stillness, like, this is where she's meant to be. This is what she's meant to be like. Anyway, she undergoes basically the transformation, or at least she starts to undergo it. And basically she starts to crack. Her the seedling that she becomes, starts to crack. Her coating basically is slowly burrowing a single root down into the warm soil, where the embryo, from what I understand, of her first leaf wormed upwards. And basically she was aware that this would take her all night to break the surface. And she just basically, was at peace with this, felt it was very peaceful, so peaceful. And that this being Briella, even realized that time was an odd thing when buried in soil. And that the only way she had to pass the time was her own languid progress. And that she had basically given herself an artificial clock set by her own internal sense for an appropriate growth. And basically, when the next day would come, a nascent stem had already, steadily appeared, basically pushed aside the loose loom. And Crystal was also there to greet her as well by, saying good morning to her. Now, afterwards, and, so basically after that, Crystal, after she took care of a few morning routines, took the vase and relocated it near a window on I think it was a table or somewhere, to get the most sun, because she wanted lots of light for her beautiful flower. And Briella, for the time she was there, the only thing she could see is the sky. Her stalk was too small to provide a glimpse over the pot's lip, but, she didn't mind it because it was a good view. It was a beautiful view, and at the striking blue, occasionally broken by the passage of migrating birds or whispering winter clouds. Now, of course, when Crystal came home, the first thing she did was check on Briella, and even acknowledged the fact that she looked like a wonderfully healthy seedling, looking, as well at the number of leaves that had increased to more than just what they were before. I think it's around 5 or 6. And then afterwards, Crystal, that is, moves the vase to the dining table, where she basically talks to her fiance, sharing the details of her day. And that basically for the rest of the week, or most of the rest of the week, it was the same pattern. Briella's leaves would continue to unfurl one by one, and by the 4th day, her first bud emerged, and by the end of the 5th, she was covered in a mix of bright pink and red blossoms. And on the beginning of the weekend, which was a Saturday, she was again on a sunning table, merrily, as it's described in the story, bathing in the gentle midday glow. But that's when the doorbell rang that drew her attention from that weekend activity on the street below. And who had shown up? Who was the mysterious visitor that Briella was unknown about at that time? Why, it was Alane, if you will, her friend. I know I kind of mess up that name a lot, but it was Alane. And Crystal invited her over, basically, and Alane basically took the opportunity because she couldn't, pass up the chance to finally see the apartment where Briella was staying for the time being. And that she also wanted to see what was so important that Crystal wanted to discuss with Alane and nobody else. But upon arriving in the house or in the apartment, she noticed the flowers near one of the living room windows, and basically asked if that's who she thinks it is. And Crystal does confirm, yes, it is, and that she's been fantastic, in this state, and that if it hadn't happened in the time that passed, basically the 5 out of 7 days that had passed, Crystal herself would have honestly believed she was really in patents, if you will. So Elanie, impressed by this, kind of took a closer inspection and fingered one of the leaves of Briella, and even acknowledged that she does feel like the real thing. Basically acknowledging that she feels like the real thing, and that even agrees that it's good to see her take it easy for a change, which is a fact. Which, from a continuity standpoint, is a fact that, Briella definitely needed a little bit of a break, even if it was unexpected. But that's not why Crystal intentionally, invited Elanier over. She wanted to talk to her about something. She wanted to show her something. So what she did is she basically takes her to her room. She takes her to her and I guess Briella's room that they share together when Briella's there. But she takes her to her room. Briella then kind of goes toward, not Briella, but Elanier goes to Briella because, again, Crystal wants to talk to Elanier, which is one of the reasons she invited her over. She wants to tell her something important, and that it's kind of difficult to tell her, but it's kind of difficult, but she wants to tell her anyway. And that it'll be easier for her to visually give her an idea of what she wants to talk about. So as Crystal goes to the room and Elanier is about to follow, she goes to the Briella plant and asks her if she might know what this is about, but then remembers, oh, right, the reason you're not answering me is because Crystal told me you were going to go full plant. So so basically she figures, okay, Crystal told me you were going to be full plant. In other words, you're not going to be yourself for a bit. I'll go see what's going on myself. So basically, Crystal, reveals to Elanier, basically she reveals to Elanier, what she wants to show her and talk to her about. And what she shows her is basically a bodysuit. But it's not just any bodysuit. It's a precursor. It's a precursor that Briella created thanks to her formula, but it's crystals. And that mainly what it is it's her furry costume. It's her fursuit, basically. It's a fur bodysuit, if you will. And it's described as such in the story because of her paw-like feet shuffling, basically her shuffling her paw-like feet, while holding onto her tail. And basically, upon seeing this, that's when it kind of dawns on Elanier everything that's happened from the invitation to the reveal and how it made more sense. And basically, she gets up, gives Crystal a big hug, a little surprised, but not surprised at how comfortable and luxurious, as the story describes it, her calico fur feels, because it's, like I say, it's a calico fur suit, calico, cat fur suit, bodysuit. And she assures her basically that there's nothing to be embarrassed about, and that she thinks Crystal being a furry is absolutely fine. Basically, there's no reason to be ashamed of it. And that she is appreciative and thankful for Crystal sharing the information with her, being so willing to do so. And Crystal basically says that she was kind of worried, kind of sniffling a little bit, kind of trying to hold back tears, appreciative tears, I would assume, because she knows some people think it's weird. Now Elanier basically has to reaffirm her, that, hey, Crystal, I've been childhood friends with your fiance Briella for a long time, since we were kids. Well, basically that's what it is. She basically assures Crystal, hey, I've been childhood friends with Briella, since, we were little itsy bitsies, if you will. and that this, the cat fursuit, the calico cat fursuit, is nothing, compared to what they, what she's been through with Briella. And so, anyway, after that, she does want to, ask Crystal, what prompted her to tell Elania that she's a furry. And Crystal shows her a piece of paper, but it's a flyer for a convention in July, a furry convention in July. She lets her know that she's always wanted to go to a furry con or a fur con for a long time, but didn't think that she was much of a furry until she got to wear Briella. But said she'd been interested since she was a child. Now, in her mind, Elania is, thinking and grinning. Well, she's grinning, but also thinking in her mind, oh yeah, Crystal and Bree were definitely meant to be together. And she reassures her that, oh yeah, Briella will be happy to go with you. But then she whispers to make sure, Briella's still in her platform, still taking on the, the existence of a plant and nothing else, but still aware of things and could probably hear things. Now that she's kind of in full bloom, she kind of whispers Elania to Crystal that Briella often had pictures of furry transformation art in her favorites. And Crystal whispering back is like, oh, really? And and while she's like, like surprised by this, but, questioning it, like, really? She's glancing over to where Briella is as the fake impantance, if you will. And Elania then says, oh, Elania basically does confirm it, but also tells her, yeah. However, don't let her get too carried away with what she can do to help you at this convention, because knowing how she is now with these powers, she'll try to do something that no human could possibly fit in, or try to create or be something that no, a human could possibly fit in. And Crystal basically did agree with that, even tugging at one corner of her fuzzy mouth, which was a slight salacious smile or something like that, tugging at one corner of her fuzzy mouth. And, Elania then thinks to herself, maybe Crystal isn't the one I should be trusting with that task, but then realizes, nope, the rules are off, and I promised I would trust Briella. And that's when they decide to get some dinner, and Elania comes up with the idea of, why don't you be the one to answer the door? Basically saying, answer the door as you are and see that it's not, as weird to be dressed like this as you think, at all. So overall, and I did read some parts of the story to give you guys a good idea of what's going on. Overall, I think the story is good. It's a nice little continuation of the end of the last story, so I do appreciate that. I like the fact that you're having the characters kind of take a break from all the hectic hell that they went through. And I enjoy the fact that it's just a nice slice of life. And I like the fact that we're getting more character development, outside of Briella, but now with Crystal, because with Briella, of course she has her powers and stuff and everything, but now with Crystal, we're starting to discover a side of her that that she's kept hidden and wasn't too sure of until, basically being enveloped by Briella multiple times. So I like the fact that we're focusing a little bit more now on Crystal and what her secrets are, what she's into and everything, and willing to share with not just Elania, but Briella. I like it. I really do. It's a nice, like I say, break from the norm, break from, from the hectic hell and frustration that they went through. But I also like it because it's a nice calming of, a nice, not of, but it's a nice calming before the storm. I like that. I like the fact that we get these down-to-earth, slice of life, calm before the storm stories before we really take it to another level, if you know what I mean. So overall, I thought the 236 shift / chapter of Metamorphosized to Malleability entitled Full Bloom, thought it was really good. I look forward to the next one to see if Briella will still continue just being a plant, or, she'll be back to normal or whatever. I really look forward to that. And can't wait to see what else she starts to explore, because again, it looks like, she wants to explore the more reasonable, fantasies that, her rebellious entity version of herself, Mimi, reminded her of, that could be more realistic than the others. So I can't wait to see maybe what she explores then. I definitely feel that we're going to get another NFSW moment in these stories, maybe as a 0.5 or whatever between her and Crystal, which again, I'm hoping that Crystal gets totally enveloped by her to the point that you see that thing like an imprint of Crystal just sticking out. I'd love to see that. I think that would make things interesting. And overall, I still feel, and I still stand by this, I think Crystal's going to get her own share of the power too. I don't know why, but I think she's going to get her own share of the power as well. And I think her revelation of her being a furry is going to play into that. I really do. I think her revelation of being a furry is going to play into that. I don't know why, but I just do. And because it's going to play into it, I think when she gets the powers, at least part of it, she's going to be able to become a full-on, furry, anamorphic character, or characterization of herself in the future. Again, that's just my opinion, speculation, but I feel, again, that that's where we're heading as we get towards 250. I also feel that as we get towards there, we'll find out exactly who's been behind the sabotaging at the Siri Guinness, or whatever it's called. The one that let that Dr. Zatweimer know about what's going on. I got a feeling we're going to find out who that is. And it's going to be somebody that we probably have already met. And I have a feeling that somebody is connected to Alania, who she perceives to be someone she can spend the rest of her life with, but is not aware that that person is working for the other side, and it's the reason that evil doctor got, access the way he did. I could be wrong, and it could be someone that we've already met on that side of the equation, working to help protect Briella and all them, but we'll see. We shall see. But I've got a feeling it's the person very close to Elanier outside of Briella and Crystal. I really do. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this and cannot wait for the 250th edition when it comes up around Valentine's Day next year. And I cannot wait for the next one here as well. So, again, I truly enjoyed this. I like it. I like the fact that it's a slice of life kind of deal, break from the norm, basically calm before the storm kind of deal. I like the fact that we're getting, like I said, more development with Crystal, finding out more about her likes and everything, and how I feel, basically, in my opinion, how it's going to play in to her eventually. Again, just an opinion, her probably getting some of the power, if not her own share of the power as well, and how that's going to play into her furry fetish, if you will, down the line. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are down below. Comment if you like. Love to hear from each and every one of you. Like the video. Super chats, super stickers are open during the premiere. Super thanks after the premiere. Check me out at Venmo at Brian-Warmer-2 and at Cash App at BWRoses98. Patreon.com/BWRoses, $1, $3 tier. BW Roses discussions, all your favorite audio podcast locations except for Pandora. Vimeo at BW Roses for content you can't get here on YouTube. DeviantArt.com/BVW1979. And at my Teespring store as well. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this. And Michelle, keep up the good work. And again, I hope to see maybe another NFSW story involving Crystal and Briella, where basically she gets totally submerged, enveloped in Briella, and we see an imprint of her entire body on the outside of Briella. But that's just something I hope to see. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. We'll see. But again, great job here. And I can't wait to see what you have in store for the next one. Till next time, guys, take care.